Hey, welcome back to the most innovative shipping container channel on YouTube, and we don't always cover shipping containers. I've got one more video I think to do on this Toyota electric forklift that we saved. And as I've gone over in the other videos, when the lead acid batteries go out on these electric forklifts for the second or third time, a lot of the owners just give up and sell it on Marketplace for cheap or free. I got one for basically free, and I got this bigger 8,000 pound lift that I'm going to go over today for like 1,500 bucks. And so I consider this a $15,000 forklift that's operating. And so when we spend a few $1,000s on lithium, and I'll go over the costs and put the links in the comments, we're into this thing for probably $3,000 or $4,000. Now you do take some risk unless you want to take some batteries with you and see how it operates. But generally these electric forklifts get parked with no mechanical issues, just the batteries go dead. And so there is some risk involved, but the couple of them that I've dealt with were just batteries. And one, the brakes need a little bit of work, which can be expected when they sit for a long time. This one does need a lift cylinder, which is probably 10 or 15 years old, so that's not really a big surprise either. So we'll pull the lift cylinder off and rebuild it. If we were to buy a new lift cylinder, they're like $6,000, so we don't want to do that. But these electric forklifts, especially Toyota, are extremely good quality. They're quiet, you don't have to fuel them back up. And with the advent of lithium and lithium battery prices coming down, it's really cost effective, makes a ton of sense. And the guys that own these aren't really thinking about lithium. They just look at the cost of lead acid, it going bad every 3 or 5 years, and they kind of give up. So let's flip around and take a look at this. We did add one more item, which was an inverter, so we can go weld in the field with it, which is pretty cool. So let's go take a look. So generally, not all. Generally, these Toyota forklifts, and many of them are 36 volt. So what you have from the factory is a group of, this one had like 36 volt batteries, and then you've got a line of 6 volt that are wired in parallel, and then they series those three groups together to get 36 volts and so on. We did get the lead acid working on this prior to putting the lithium in to some extent. To check operation, everything was working. So there's a brand, Vatrer, V-A-T-R-E-R, and these have been my go-to lithium batteries lately because they come with this really nice LCD screen. And you can see all the cells, charge, you can discharge, there's all the cells. You can do a discharge or charge on there, locking out one or the other. So if it's going to be sitting for a long time, you can lock out discharge and so on. This doesn't seem to have any voltage draw when it's turned off. That's a really nice screen they send you, though, a lot better than the other batteries I've seen. Some of them just have a 10 bar kind of generic meter, so we like that. And I did have a problem with one of these Vatrer batteries. I think in shipping, the control board inside had come loose and the temp sensor came loose, and so it wouldn't take a charge. I took the top off, plugged the temp sensor in, and it worked. So I contacted Vatrer, and they instantly overnighted me a new battery with shipping, with the box, with the label to send the old battery back. So customer service was excellent. So we've got two of these Vatrer batteries on this forklift because this is a pretty big forklift. We got away with one 36 volt battery on our other forklift, but when you're driving this forklift or using the lift, it's pulling like 250 to 300 amps, and the max discharge per lithium battery is about 200 amps, so we went with two, and that gives us a decent amount of capacity, probably a few hours runtime with just these two little lithium batteries. So two of these, and plus the other thing we did, which I'll go over in a minute, is the inverter. Now, what happens when you put lithium in these forklifts is you lose 2,000 to 3,000 pounds of lead acid batteries that were in this space, and those batteries do count for counterweight for the lifting capacity of the forklift. So if you need all the lifting capacity of the forklift, you're going to have to add weight back here somehow, which you could weld plates on, just put weights back here and so on. So that's something to be aware of. Some of the lithium battery companies do sell kits that come with the lithium batteries and the appropriate amount of weight for your forklift. But those are usually special order. And if we want to add weight, we'll just do it. But I'm not operating this at the absolute capacity needed, so it's not a concern at this point. Now, we could spend some time restoring and painting this plate and because you do get the battery acid and things like that in these forklifts. So you can sand all that and paint it. We did it on the other one. We haven't done this one yet. Um, so as far as installation, all these have this big Anderson connector, and this is 0-4. And so what we do is get this. We had this Anderson connector from the old batteries. Our other one did not. So the other one, we had to get an Anderson connector and make new cables. All I did for this one was put new um, ring terminals on the ends of these cables. So you have to have a huge crimper, or you can use a hammer. And so we've got the main cables running to one of the batteries, and then we have the other battery in parallel going to that battery. And this is a 0 gauge cable, and there's an online amperage voltage calculator. And so what I did was a 200 amp run at 24 inches at 36 volts, and that's going to tell you the size of cable that you're going to need. So if we come over to the other side here, the other nice thing about these Vatra batteries is they all come with this charger. It's not extra. This is probably like a $250 value. So this Vatra battery with the LCD screen and this charger, I think, is running about $1,300, give or take. And so the price of these lithium batteries in the last few years has come down a lot. So you're getting a lot for your money. So this is your charger. And in our case, since we have one battery tied to the other, we just have this charger hooked up. You can see the blue and the red cables, and then that will charge both batteries automatically. And the other nice thing about these batteries is they do have a on-off switch. So if you have a golf cart, you can turn it off, and it's sort of an anti-theft device. And we don't generally turn these off because, like I said, this forklift doesn't seem to have any voltage draw when it sits. And these batteries are 105 amp hours apiece. So we've got 210 amp hours of total storage. And like I said, that gives us a few hours runtime on this forklift if we wanted to before the batteries were dead, which is plenty for us. So the last thing we did was install a 3,000 watt 36 volt inverter. And so basically we can just plug a 120 welder into this inverter and set the welder right here. And this forklift does really well off-road. So we can take this off-roading and go weld anywhere we want in the field. And we've got plenty of power to do that with. The welder draws way less amperage than the actual forklift does. So we've got plenty of storage to go welding, and these inverters are only 150, 200 bucks. So that's kind of a nice little welding cart for us. We don't have to drag the generator around. So total investment on this forklift for us at this point is probably about $4,000, and a, let's say 2010 8,000 pound Toyota like this that's in operating condition, they're probably going for $12,000 to $25,000 depending. So these electric forklifts have been a great thing for us to pick up, and we use them around the shop constantly. Here's our smaller 3,000 pound one here that we got for like $100. So highly recommend looking for these if you're in the market for a forklift, and drop comments or questions if you have any, and thanks for watching.